Brigantia Blackbird of Blackbird's Brew. Happy Saturday and welcome back to Wicca 101. This week's we're going to talk a little bit about dreams. Paying attention to dreams is part of a pagan lifestyle, and learning to understand them, or at least to try to understand them, that is part of a witch's work, whether that person is a Wiccan witch or walks another path. Now, first it must be understood that not all dreams are created equal. Sometimes dreams are just the brain reorganizing its files while the body rests, and it doesn't actually have any greater significance. Then there are other occasions where, the dream kind of feels ordinary, but then there's one tiny little detail that stands out, has significance, and your brain just won't let it go. Other times, the dreams are more cohesive, and you wake up and you realize that whole thing means something. It's trying to tell me something. And then you have other occasions when spirits, whether they're ancestral or animal totems, elemental, or if it's the gods, they're actually using our dreams as a way to speak to us more directly. And those dreams definitely feel quite out of the ordinary. Now, secondly, I think it's healthy and honest to acknowledge that it isn't always going to be obvious to us straight away what broad category our own dreams fall into, let alone when we're trying to provide insight to someone else about their dreams. Getting better at this takes a lot of practice, a lot of trial and error, and making your peace that you're not always going to get it right the first time, and that's just the way that it is. And then thirdly, there's no way to artificially force ourselves to get better at dream interpretation. It's an organic process. It evolves in its own time if we flow with the current. And there's as we go on, you'll see why it's just not something that we're going to be able to force or just memorize our way out of it. So, interpretation of dreams is arguably one of the most subjective activities that a practitioner will undertake. Your intuition is not only going to be needed for this job, but it is going to take center stage. Now, at this point, you may be asking yourself, quite properly, what about all those books about dreams and symbols and interpretations? Now, I don't want you to think that I'm saying that there isn't a place for those, or that they can't be helpful. I view books of that kind as a starting point. The information within them has a lot of their roots in cultural beliefs and psychological analysis, as well as the author's opinions based on their own experiences, and sometimes that will be useful, and sometimes, not so much. It really is luck of the draw on that one. But when we compare elements of our dreams that stand out to us with this information within the books, that gives our intuition an opportunity to speak to us. Say, yes, I think this is on the right track, or no, that's definitely not it. I can just feel in my gut that that isn't what the dream was talking about. And that helps us rule out possible interpretations. And believe it or not, getting a sense of what a dream doesn't mean is actually incredibly helpful to this process. It's your intuition's way of saving you trouble of going down an incorrect train of thought. And then that makes space in your brain for other possibilities, and then as you go through this process of elimination, you can usually make significant headway. And sometimes this doesn't occur within an hour or an afternoon. Sometimes this is an ongoing process. And that is why keeping a dream journal has become common advice. This is the absolute reason for that. Because a standalone dream, that doesn't always give you enough clues for you to get a clear message, especially if you can just sense there's something beneath the surface. I don't know what, but I know that it's there. But if you keep track of your dreams and you notice patterns and themes emerging, it's easier to get onto the right track and realize, okay, if I pursue this, that's eventually going to lead me to whatever insight my unconscious mind is trying to communicate to me. Now, two examples. The first, someone who frequently has dreams in which they feel vulnerable or under attack. That suggests several possibilities right off the bat that could be explored. It might be about insecurities that are becoming more difficult for that person to handle, or a sign that they're at odds with someone and it's bothering them a lot more than what they were willing to admit. And rarely, it's possible that the individual is literally under psychic attack and their unconscious mind is alerting them to that attack. And the second example I want to bring up is frequent dreams of flying. Because think about what flying is. It's about freedom, getting a little bit of a taste, albeit with technology, about what the birds get to enjoy, getting distance from what goes on in the ground, a separation from our troubles almost. It may signal also that someone has a natural affinity for tuning into the element of air, or that they primarily rely on their minds to take the lead in their life. And depending on how it feels when you come to land in your dreams, it could be a sign that you are astral projecting, especially if you get that big whoosh and that really weird, funny feeling afterwards. That could definitely be your mind just intuitively going into that realm, even if you haven't learned how to consciously choose to go there. Now, obviously, I haven't mentioned every possible interpretation of those two common dreams, but I do think that it shows that if you look at common threads within your dreams, it helps decipher meanings. At least it raises possibilities in the mind. And sometimes a journal entry about a dream is just going to be a sentence, and that's really it. And then there will be other occasions when you start worrying that you're going to run out of paper. But by keeping the record and making sure it's available to you, it does prove useful, especially over the long run. So that's a very basic take on dreams, just enough for you to get started in your explorations. Now on to homework for May 21st through May 27th. Number 1. Have you ever noticed any reoccurring themes, actions, or symbols within your dreams? If you have, consult a variety of dream dictionaries and journal about whether or not those explanations align with your intuition. You might be able to fall down a bit of a rabbit hole on this one, so happy hunting! And 2. Ask someone if they're willing to share their dreams with you so you can practice interpreting them, and let them know this is an art, not a science, and that you're just trying to get a feel for the process, and of course promise them confidentiality. Dreams can be intensely personal. And 3. Borrow a dream book from the library or download a free version of one. Read it through and then write a review of it. Did it contain any useful information? Or did it strike you as just being pure drivel? And I want to be honest with you, sometimes they are. But articulating your reactions and opinions can help crystallize your own thinking, and that's an important part of your spiritual development. So, that does it for this week. Next week, for Wicca 101, we're going to talk a little bit about meeting deity. That'll be exciting. So I hope you will come back and join me for that. But in the meantime, that's all for now. I will see you in the next one. Bye.